Hi, it's me, the Solarball Encyclopedia. Um, I'm finally making a video with my voice. Quick disclaimer: these videos will be a little bit rare on my channel for now, since I have found zero time to have the time to record my voice. So a lot of the videos on this channel are gonna be like speaking videos. Um, but my speaking video didn't do so good. When I did the Thea Earth's Origins compilation, but it's only the transitions between episodes, it didn't really do so well. I'm kind of hoping that this video does pretty good, because I want to make this known. So yeah. Anyways, you saw the title and you're like, huh? How? And if you agree with me, then okay. I know some people agree with me, but if you saw the title and you're like, huh? How is Solar Balls ruin the sun's character? And I'd like to say, well, we gotta go back to the very beginning of the Thea arc. I'm not spending all my time going back to the very beginning of Solar Balls with the sun. That would be insane. Jupiter is back, part 2. Foreshadowing for a later video that's probably not going to come for a while now. Don't expect it soon. A lot of people don't like this episode, mainly because of the rocky planet scene. And I will admit there is a few character assassination here. We'll get to that later. But this video is about the sun, so I'm not talking about this. The sun's barely in this episode, but the ones he does have is interacting with Jupiter. And when he interacts with Jupiter, Jupiter tries to convince him on why he should come back. But then it says, okay, Jupiter, talk, and then that's all the scenes that he has. Moving on to part 3. So you know why one reason people didn't like the Planet X arc? They said the sun was too serious. I remember when I was in the Planet X Patreon for the Planet X arc, there were so many complaints that the sun was too serious. So what do you think Solar Balls does? They say, because I'm kind of on board with the sun being serious sometimes. He can't just be funny 24/7. He has to have some character development. But no, a lot of people just didn't like the Planet X arc because the sun was too serious. And I know there's other reasons why people didn't like the Planet X arc. For example, people say the Battle of Planet X Part 4 was rushed. Eh. Yeah, other stuff. I can kind of see that, but the sun being serious, I feel like kind of helped the plot a little bit. But no, we have to have him at his crazy self again. It was fine in this episode, I will say that. So, because it was a little bit funny. I like that close-up of his eyes. And you know what would be funnier, though? If all the moons, the Galilean moons, just started running away. Just started bolting away. That would have made the scene funnier. And hell, maybe Jupiter could have done that, too. There was Solar Balls YTP channel that now makes the Moon Wakes Up content, kind of, about how, that kind of did as jokes. They called Sus Balls. Yes, haha, funny title. They did a very similar joke to this. Here, I'll show it to you.
Hey, Sus. Talk. Listen, Sus, we may have our differences, and you burn the rocky planet's cards. What do I know of right?
You'll see what happens,
It shockingly works. I've actually found that very funny. So yeah, I feel like it would just been better if we didn't have like them saying that was absolutely bizarre. Just have them instantly running away. That would have been funnier. But other than that, the scene's fine. And Sun's character is it's still normal. It was just like I feel like it was just a one-off joke, right? Solar Balls. We technically see the sun and the Earth is leaving part 2, but it doesn't really ruin his character. He's just kind of there. Nothing too crazy. But then we get to the solar system is empty. Now, I will admit that in my review of this, I will admit I was being a little bit too gracious. It has kind of aged a little bit on me. I think the reason I liked it so much was mainly because it was better than The Earth is Leaving. The Earth is Leaving was awful. But in retrospect, these episodes aren't nothing special. they do have their fair share of issues. Like, for example, the entire Moon's plotline during the Thea arc is awful. I actually hate the Moon's plotline, but we'll get to that later. But the Mercury and Venus stuff is okay. The Sun. So, this is what. Okay, hold up. So Venus goes up to Mercury, not wanting to tell him about all the planets being missing. But the Sun hears this and is like, "Oh, what do you?" And the Sun's probably gonna interrogate Venus, like he will later do, or if you're watching this chronologically, does in After the Crash Part 2. But no, he's all silly, and he's just all silly. Like, bro, all your planets are missing. It was fine in Jupiter's back Part 3, but here it just kind of feels out of place. And then Venus lies saying about the birthday party, and the Sun believes it. I mean, that kind of goes against the Big Bang Part 3, because he knew Jupiter and Saturn were hiding something. I mean, and after just one glance and say, "Oh, Planet X is in here." That one glance, 6 of your planets have left. And yeah, like, right. Sun. So this one fell out of place. Anyways, let's move to the next scene. That's like, one thing I do like is I'm actually shocked that Solarballs managed to make a 4-minute scene with just using 3 characters. That's cool. Later in the episode, Venus reveals that to the Sun that there is no birthday surprise. We don't care about your birthday. Like, so 6 of your planets are gone, and the Sun is actually originally kind of freaking out. Good. This is the only time in this entire arc where he does so, though. So he actually starts freaking out and thinks he's hallucinating, and this is a good scene. Until he switches it around. So Venus and Mercury just say, "We need to be practical." And then the Sun goes on a rant making Mercury orbit Venus. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he'd be reluctant to do this. Nope. In the next episodes, he's all happy-dally and all, like, back to his silly self. Mainly because the fans were tired of serious Sun, even though it helped his character development. Anyway, but so yeah, that sucks. But however, the Mercury and Venus orbiting around each other, it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem with the Sun being so silly. Like, bro, your entire character arc in the flashback stuff was that you don't want to be alone. And that 6 of your planets have left. You should be sad. You're lucky you have 2. So the worst part is that the Moon thing doesn't really do much to the main plot. It helps Venus's character and Mercury's character, but this is the Sun going back to being crazy and a psycho is not the first time Solarballs used people. Doesn't just let them tell the story, use the fans' advice. And I'm not saying using the fan advice is bad, but sometimes the story just doesn't really need it. So, and which is something we will see later. So yeah, moving on to the next scene. The Sun confirms that he is a Mercury shipper and wants them to moon and do intimate things together. Anyways, so yeah, this scene was okay. I like the mooning joke, and that was pretty much it. Anyways, wait. I just realized I didn't change the video to the solar system is empty part 2. I thought I already did that. We were still on part 1. Oop. Now start mooning! Anyways, the Sun doesn't really have, other than this, the Sun doesn't have much. I already explained, though, that he's too silly and stuff. Anyways, and he doesn't, but part 3 is probably the worst of the Sun. And you could be like, ow, he has the least amount of screen time in part 3. We'll see about that. We'll see. The Solar System is Empty Part 3 is a pretty good episode as it has a Mercury and Venus fight and Venus's eyes turn red, which is, look, checking the comments is the thing that people only remember, the only thing people remember about this episode. Whenever I mention this episode, everyone is like, ah, yes, the episode where Venus's eyes turn red. And I was like, okay, other things happened. But anyways, the fight is actually cool, and I just want to remember this. I'm gonna put this in your heads first. Remember that scene in the Rocky Planets? Actually, you know what? Hold up, I'll pull it up. Flashback time.
And fine. Hello, I'm Venus, second planet from the sun, between Lil Pipsqueak over here in the Earth, 7,500 and something miles of diameter, and I don't know. I don't like my orbit at all, or my atmosphere, or myself, all that much. Venus. Okay, enough. Your turn, Mercury.
That scene has never really been explained on, but I was actually really curious. Venus said he hates himself. I was curious. That seems something like that was interesting. And the only reason it didn't get mentioned was Venus didn't really have much to do in the Planet X arc, but here, I thought this would be finally the episode that would answer the reveal why. Well, not really reveal why, but I was hoping that maybe Mercury would keep throwing asteroids at Venus, but then look at the face that Venus makes. Look at this face. Can you see that he is depressed? He doesn't even care that Mercury's throwing like a bajillion asteroids at him. I thought Mercury would realize the face he's making and stop throwing asteroids and actually like try and be like a therapist to him, kind of like he was in the Earth's Redemption. But no. You want to know what happens? Do you really want to know? The sun saw all of this go down. Okay? Alright. What do you think the sun's going to do? He could lash at Mercury. But no. The sun says that you should keep throwing asteroids at Venus, mainly because the ice asteroids and water. It would be fine. I mean, I didn't really like this, though. It would have been fine if Venus did not say anything, but no. He says, wait, what? If he didn't say anything and just like, all right, cool, I don't care, just throw. It could have still worked. But no. Venus actually says, wait, what? And looks worried. Like, dude. And then in the next scene, they never explain it. They do say because of his anger and insecurities is because of Thea. The problem with it is that he never mentions how he hates himself. It's obvious to see that he hates himself, mainly because of what he did. But we could have had a really good scene where Mercury therapies Venus a little bit. But no. And I was like, okay, maybe it happens in a different episode. But in Earth Awakens, Earth reveals to Venus that Thea is still his friend. So now all of Venus's problems are gone. And we never really get to see the payoff that would have been cool if Mercury therapied Venus. And that would have been cool. And we'll get to Mercury later. But that was probably the most disappointing thing about this episode. The meta stuff was actually kind of interesting because the moods were in there. Anyways, let's move to the next episode with the sun. The flashback stuff was actually pretty on point. The sun actually wasn't too silly, and he actually had character development. It was actually on point. So no real point in talking about the flashback episodes, as I don't have much problems with them, at least with the sun. So onward to the Earth's core part 1. So something I didn't mention was that Mercury and Venus decided to leave to find the Earth. Okay, cool. That was probably the lame ending. Why? So, because it makes the moon stuff not really, like, all that relevant. Anyways, the Moon Club goes over to the sun, who, sorry. Okay, hold up. Who, and says, what are you doing here? And the Titania, being the bitch that she is, says, you know what, son? We want to be planets. Because... Let me talk about Titania for a second. Let me talk about Titania. So, after the Planet X arc, the moons had a pretty good role. I was actually kind of scared the moons would kind of be not that... Like, we kind of been undermined in the Planet X arc, but no, they actually have a pretty good role in the Battle of Planet X. So there could be tons of questions you could have answered with the moons after the Planet X arc. Like, some questions could be like, what was Ganymede's reaction after he got hit with all those asteroids? That kind of got answered, but not really. What was Europa's reaction after Ganymede woke up and turns out he was still alive? And what was Titan and Titania's reactions after the injuries? Okay, what was Proteus' reaction after lashing out of Planet X? All those questions could have been answered, but you know what? None of them were answered. You want to know the one question that was answered? What did Titania feel about? That was the one question I didn't want to be answered. It's not like that's the only question. Yeah, it's the only question to be answered. None of the other questions get answered. And you know what? It's the main part of everything the moons do in the Thea arc. What? Why? Can't you just focus on something like not ever? I am so glad though that the moons orbiting the sun doesn't have much to do with the Earth's core. It's saved for a different part. But that still doesn't make it good. Anyways, so Titania says, you know what? I don't want to orbit Uranus anymore. Even though it was Planet X clear manipulation, and she could see it. And also, wasn't Uranus worried about his moons getting his 63? Yes, that's an error. There was actually 63 moons instead of 27. Oops. But wasn't Uranus worried that his 27 moons were injured during the Battle of Planet X Part 4? The fuck happened to that? Titania, Uranus was worried. And it's not like you were unconscious, because you're the smallest of the 3 moons that got hit. And to be fair, the only reason you got hit was so a Uranian moon could get hit, so Uranus feels bad. Like, yeah, I get it. Uranus doesn't really feel bad in Jupiter's back Part 1. But no shit. Saturn lashed out at him, which, to be completely honest, I wasn't really on Saturn's side for that. I feel like Saturn should have given Uranus some time alone. Maybe Neptune should have dealt with it. Neptune, I think, handled it a little bit better than Saturn. But no. So that made Uranus just in a bad mood when Titania talked to him. And when Titania talked to him, Uranus was mad. And then Neptune came. And then Jupiter. Before Neptune could really say anything, Jupiter came in. So Uranus was just in a bad situation. But no, we're supposed to say Titania's in the right. So basically, Titania says, I don't want to orbit Uranus anymore. So what planet does she want to orbit? What celestial object does she orbit? She probably picked the sun. Those two have such a great relationship, right?
Balance? I don't need balance, you silly.
Whatever, the sun lets the moons become planets. So now we get to the solar system, but it's only moons. Ugh. Okay, first of all, I'm not a huge fan of Titania's new design. I'm not a huge fan of the new designs in general, except Jupiter is one of the better ones, and so is Titan. But whatever, it's fine. So Earth and Luna come back. And the sun says, go to your room. We'll talk there, like a father should. So when the Earth goes there, the sun says, yeah, you left. Where were you? Yada, yada, yada. I put trackers on you. Damn, teenagers, stop going anywhere. Do I need to put, like, Life 360 on your phone, damn it? Anyways... The sun tears into Earth, and understandable a little bit. But one problem I have is after the sun tears into Earth, Luna just says, okay, yeah, the sun, what I gathered is that the sun allowed you to come back. Yep, that's what I gathered, 100%. The fuck, Luna? Sun never said that. Sun never said anything like that. But you're just yelling shit just so the plot could be progressed. And then the sun did say that. That's pretty lame, honestly. We'll get to it, though. Anyway, something I wanted to say we'll get to is the Mercury thing. So, in Jupiter's Back Part 2, Mercury was mean. A lot of people said Mercury says character assassination by, let's not pull this heading to the sun stunt again, Earth. But then he kind of reformed a little bit in the Solar System is Empty Part 3 by saying he doesn't like being mean to get respected. It got to, but still, a lot of people say he was mean. So in Earth's Core arc, the Earth's Core, Part 4-parter, they made him too nice. I'm sorry, but they made him too nice to the point where it kind of got annoying. Mercury was all on Venus's face. He wanted to know, if Venus, are you okay? Hey, Venus, you okay? Hey, Venus! Venus! What the fuck is wrong? Shut up, Mercury! Like, I'm fine with Mercury therapying Venus, but not just constantly going up to him and during tragic times like Earth freezing in the fucking Kuiper Belt, saying, hey, Venus, I know that all Earthlings could potentially die right now, but are you okay, Venus? Are you okay? Save this for later, Mercury. You know, you could have said this when you weren't in the Kuiper Belt. But no, we gotta wait till we were in the Kuiper Belt to talk to Venus. Oh, okay, cool. Anyways, I'm moving to part 2. Fuck this. To be completely honest, the Solar System, but it's only moons part 2 was probably the best of the 3. And I bet you're gonna say, what? Yep, I said it. A part 2 is the best episode of a 3-parter. Typically, part 2s are the worst, mainly because part 1 sets up the stage, and you expect part 2 to contain all the answers of the universe, but then it doesn't. It leaves you on another cliffhanger, and part 3 is typically the one that contains all the answers of the universe. So you're feeling like part 2. So typically, you come in disappointed during part 2. This was not the case, mainly because this was the first time we actually get to see the planet assets, because we barely saw any new assets in the Solar System, but it's only moons part 1. Anyways, and also the episode was just kind of, the scenes flow actually really well. Like, we have one scene with all the planets, then we have Luna and Titania interacting, then we have the scene with the planets, also they interact with the dwarf planets. Fuck yeah, finally! Anyways, and then Luna and Titania interact with the Earth. And then Titania goes up to the sun, but then Titan interacts, and then the sun interacts with the planets. I thought that was really good. I thought that really worked. The ending is probably the worst part of the episode. Well, let's get to that. So before Titania goes to the sun, Titan tries to talk to her to, say, let's go back to normal. Titania says, no, I want to go back. I want to orbit the sun. We need to expand our territory. And we can't lose to the fucking planets. Titan. Hey, and Titan says, I can't help you. And Titania, and they argue. Hey, don't you think these guys are great together? Don't you think they just love each other? When I watch this scene, I ship these two forever. They belong with each other after this scene. Don't you see what I'm saying, guys? Anyways, Titania goes up to the sun. And the sun, before Titania could get a word out of her mouth, the sun says, oh, hey, look at that, the planets are here. Mars almost swears, which would have been funnier if they didn't just do it in a player round episode, but whatever. Anyways. So, the sun, the Jupiter. So, remember when the sun allowed Jupiter to come back? And said, you can't leave again. So, Jupiter came back. Jupiter left again. Bruh. Sun, take things up a notch. I don't know. And also the planets left. And also Mercury and Venus. They left you. They were your only planets, and they saw how kind of sad you were for like a minute, and the solar system is empty. Part 1. So yeah, you guys should be mad at them. So let's take a breather. Hold up. Trivia time. Alrighty, question number 1 of 1. What do you think the sun's punishment will be for the planets? He could A, banish the fuck out of them and they go to the Kuiper Belt and... Okay, I could have made a really good point, but then I'd be leaking, sorry. Anyways, or B, no, not or B, B, do the thing he did in After the Crash Part 2 where he interviews the planets one by one to see their part of the story. Or C, let them stay in their orbits, but they can't be in the outer region of the solar system. Lock in your answers now. If you picked A or B, you probably don't really like this ending as well. So yeah, the sun allows them to stay, not kick them out, because even though this is the second time they've left the fucking solar system. But no, but you can't be in the inner region. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, you guys should not even be complaining. Yeah. Some of your moons may die, but god damn it, this is a weak punishment, son. This Mercury, like, Earth is in his orbit. Well, this is a weak punishment. Oh, yeah. This is a weak punishment. Like, bro, you could have done so much more, son. You're not intimidating. You're biased toward... I'm done. I'm moving on to the last episode I'm talking about today. Part 3 was surprisingly worse than Part 2, but not as bad as Part 1 was. Part 3... Here we go. I'm not excited for this. Titania, what? Why, man? Oh, by the way, Titania calls Titan the something morality. Bearers of morality. Hey, don't you want to ship these two so bad? So unbelievably bad. I'd rather ship Mars and Sharon. Yeah, yes, I just said that. Anyways, so the plan is that one representative of the planets and one representative of the moons would interact with each other. Hey, wait, didn't this already happen like 50 bajillion episodes ago in the solar system trials? You know what would have been better? You want to know what really would have been better? Maybe the Uranian moons went up to Titania and said, we got a surprise for you for being such a great leader to all 26 of us. And Titania is reluctant and first and says, oh, okay. And then the Uranian moons are like, okay, well, you'll be all alone in the asteroid belt. And oh yeah, Titan's there. And it's like Titania's like, oh, okay, sure, I'll do it. Because that way, the veils of morality or whatever won't be there, but then Titania goes in the asteroid belt to not see Titan, but also Uranus, and Titan does a little tries to be like a Mercury therapist a little bit to make Uranus and Titania talk things out with Titan there. That would have been cool. I would have liked that, but no, we have to do the solar system trials part 2, not just the solar system trials again, because of course. That would have been original. I would have liked a little art Titan therapy. I mean, yeah, please someone give Titan ASMR therapy. I need this. Anyways, the scene with Titania and Uranus is okay nonetheless. Let's get to the ending with the sun. So, all the moons and planets want to go back to their old orbits, even though Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are still in their same orbits, god damn it! So, do you want to know what the sun does? The sun thinks he's intimidated? He just lets the planets go back to his orbits. The worst part is that after this episode, we get the Halloween special with the planets awakened, and then we move on to the next arc. And it's not like the preparation arcs with the Moon Club and the Solar System Trials. We meet the main characters of the next arc after the Halloween specials. Like, it's happening. The next arc is fully starting after this. Like, that was quick. At least the Thea arc didn't introduce its characters that instantly. And how does this connect to the next arc? I'm not spoiling what it is, but this could have been easily solved. Like, the sun could have banished the planets, and there, we connected the next arc. Like, this could have been so easy. So Anyways, currently, right now, as I'm recording this, there are 16 minutes till the Planet X Awakens. Planet Awakens Part 2 comes out. So I'm gonna watch this, and I'm kind of done with the sun. So that is how the Solarballs ruined the sun's character. I'm done. Goodbye. End of the video. I'm done.